From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday pledged to strengthen the mining sector and step up the crackdown on illegal operations. During the opening of the Mining Philippines 2025 International Conference and Exhibition at the Grand Hyatt Manila in Taguig City, President Marcos said the government has adopted key reforms to promote transparency and accountability in the mining industry. President Marcos said his administration is committed to building a responsible, inclusive, and climate-resilient mining sector. President Marcos stressed the country's strict adherence to various laws, including the Enhanced Fiscal Regime for Large-Scale Metallic Mining Act and the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System Act, to ensure sustainable development while strengthening public trust and investor confidence in the mining industry. He also called on mining operators to align their social development and management programs with national and global development frameworks to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. He hoped that mining operations in the country remain underpinned by science, guided by sustainable goals, and anchored on shared interests. President Marcos lauded the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines, or COMP, for fostering an active and accountable mining sector, highlighting its adoption of the Toward Sustainable Mining Program, a global standard for environmental, social, and government practices as proof that responsible mining is attainable. He also lauded the COMP's engagement in the extractive industry's transparency initiative to ensure the wise management of the mining revenues. He said the event is vital in charting a path where economic strength and social responsibility move together, acknowledging that the mining industry now extends beyond mere extraction. With the theme From Policy to Progress, Driving Mining Through Innovation and Investment, the two-day event brings together stakeholders to share insights, present solutions, and collaborate on shaping the future of mining in the Philippines.
Mining goes beyond just extraction. Minerals are vital to electric vehicles, batteries, new technologies that promote clean energy. To be given this much potential is both a blessing and a responsibility. We are offered the chance to help power the global green transition and to ensure that this progress uplifts every Filipino, especially those who live closest to the mines themselves. Here, we ask the vital questions. How can the Philippines become a reliable source of critical minerals for a greener future? How can mining fuel regional industrialization and create decent, lasting jobs? And how can we open doors to responsible investment without compromising our planet or our people? The Philippines stands proud as the first in Asia to implement this program, joining countries like Canada and Australia upholding ethical practice. Every operation must be consistent with our environmental commitments, including the Paris Agreement, the Philippine Energy Plan. We must power the future without endangering the earth that sustains us. Irresponsible mining has no place in our nation. We will strictly enforce the laws against practices that destroy forests, that poison rivers, that endanger lives. Mining should build communities, not burden them. And to attract quality investments, we are simplifying the procedures in the processing of mining applications. There is still much to be done. And to fully attain the aspirations of this sector, we must continue to attract investors who share our values, those who respect our laws, those who respect our people, and those that respect our environment.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In related news, Environment Secretary Rafael Lotilla said the Philippine mining industry is shifting towards a more responsible and sustainable approach as the Department of Environment and Natural Resources modernizes its mining governance framework to make it more transparent, data-driven, and climate responsive. Speaking at the Mining Philippines International Conference and Exhibition in Taguig City, Lotilla highlighted reforms being implemented by the agency as he underscores the importance of Republic Act 12253, or the Enhanced Fiscal Regime for Large-Scale Metallic Mining Act, recently signed by Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Through the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, we are also streamlining permitting processes and modernizing mineral resource data system, launching a government-led mineral mapping and inventory beginning 2026, aligning the social development and management plan of mining companies with the UN SDGs, strengthening indigenous peoples' participation in equitable benefit sharing, and expanding the use of space-based monitoring to enhance mining and environmental compliances and transparency.
At the same time, Secretary Lotilla said that the MJB's geohazard mapping continues to provide timely guidance to both national and local government units and communities in safeguarding lives and property from climate and disaster-related risks. He also emphasized the recent signing of RA 12253 has established a fair and transparent system that streamlines revenue disbursement and strengthens accountability. He said a new law has answered a decades-old call for a fair, transparent, and efficient system, streamlining the disbursement of LGU shares from national wealth while strengthening accountability in the use of revenues from mining. Meanwhile, Secretary Lotilla said since climate change now defines how decisions are made in government and the mining industry, the DENR has adopted a climate and ecosystem-based lens in evaluating mining projects, recognizing that every intervention on the landscape affects water, biodiversity, and communities. Secretary Lotilla said other institutional reforms under the Bagong Pilipinas governance framework of the current administration also include the development of National Natural Geospatial Database to centralize information on mineral resources and ecosystems, the adoption of natural capital accounting recently institutionalized by Congress, and the creation of a Water Resources Management Office to align mining operations with watershed protection and long-term climate goals. Meanwhile, Secretary Lotilla said as the world accelerates toward decarbonization, the demand for critical minerals will shape the next global economy and that the Philippines must be ready not just to supply but to lead with responsibility and science-based governance. He also called on the mining industry to reaffirm its commitment towards responsible, resilient, and responsive mining in the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday dismissed a letter of sentiment filed before the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, to investigate First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos's alleged ties to former Special Envoy to China for Trade, Maynard Ngu. The complaint was deemed baseless and irrelevant to the ICI's mandate. Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said at a media briefing that the letter sent by a private citizen named John Santander had nothing to do with the ICI's probe of flood control schemes. Castro, a lawyer by trade, also said that the letter contained hearsay evidence and may be considered a fishing expedition. Castro reiterated that the First Lady will not pay attention to the charges. She also emphasized that Ngu's appointment as Special Envoy to China ended in August. She added that citizens are welcome to provide information to the ICI to assist in ongoing investigations into infrastructure corruption as long as the accusations are credible and evidence-based and not for fishing expeditions.
Ang isang nagpamigay o nagbigay ng letter of sentiment, kung di tayo nagkakamali, ito ay nangangalang John Santander. Para siyang isang nuisance candidate. na parang binigyan ng pera para bumili ng suka at isinabay ang pagbibigay ng letter of sentiment para dalhin sa ICI. Kung inyo makakahalubilo muli ang isang John Santander, maaari po ba niyong itanong sa kanya kung alam ba niya ang mandato ng ICI? Alam naman natin ang mandato ng ICI ay mag-imbestiga ng mga maanumalyang flood control projects at mga infrastructure. Sa nabasa natin, at alam ko nabasa niyo rin po ang letter of sentiment, wala po tayong makitang anuman na allegation patungkol sa maanumalyang flood control projects na mag-uugnay sa unang ginang kay First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos. Pangalawang tanong, alam po ba niya kung sino ang source ng kanyang mga sinasabi? Pangatlong tanong, siya po ba'y may personal knowledge sa kanyang mga sinasabi? Dahil kung walang personal knowledge, ito ay magsisilbing hearsay evidence. Kung hearsay evidence, ito po ba dapat ay binibigyan pa ng pagtutuon at seryosong konsiderasyon? Ito po ba ay isang fishing expedition lamang para siraan ang unang ginang? So, ito po naman ay nasa kamay na ng ICI. Ibinigay lamang po natin ang ating pahayag patungkol po dito dahil nabasa po natin ang letter of sentiment, pati na po ang attachments. Mismo, ang mga attachments ay walang nag-uugnay at walang naipakitang anumang ebidensya na magsasabing merong anomalyang flood control projects na pinasok ang unang ginang. Ang unang-unang sabi po ng First Lady ay hindi po niya ito bibigyan ng anumang pansin dahil ito po ay hearsay evidence. Alam po natin, ang First Lady ay abogado rin po.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday said the Department of Education or DepEd will sign a Memorandum of Agreement or MOA with the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH and local government units or LGUs to address the classroom backlog in the country. The signing of the MOA is in line with Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to provide direct funding to LGUs for the construction of classrooms in the country. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said this in a press briefing. She added that they did not indicate when the MOA is expected to be signed. She said President Marcos wants the swift construction and improvement of classroom after the DepEd lamented that only 22 out of 1,700 classrooms targeted for completion this year have so far been finished by the DPWH. DepEd Secretary Sonny Angara raised concern over the delays caused by the DPWH's sole implementation of all DepEd-funded projects since 2018. Castro noted that under the MOA, the funds will be entrusted to the LGUs while the implementation and classroom construction will be monitored by the DPWH and DepEd. She said that approximately 2,370 classrooms will be constructed through the partnership between DepEd, DPWH, and LGUs. Castro said the target is to complete about 2,000 classrooms by third quarter of 2026.
Alinsunod sa hangarin ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na mabigyan ng direct funding ang mga lokal na pamahalaan para sa pagpapatayo ng mga classrooms sa bansa, nakatakdang magkaroon ng Memorandum of Agreement ang DPWH, DepEd, at local government units upang mapatupad ito. Ang nais ng Pangulo, ang kakulangan sa classrooms ay dapat na mapunan sa lalong madaling panahon para sa kabutihan ng mga mag-aaral. Hindi pwede ang mabagal kumilos. Yan ang direktiba ng Pangulo. Nakatuon na ang paningin ng Pangulo sa mga mabilis na pagsasaayos ng mga classrooms dito sa DPWH, DepEd at LGU. Naniniwala si Pangulong Marcos Jr. na ang pagkakaroon ng maayos at sustainable na mga classrooms sa bansa ay magsisilbing pundasyon ng karunungan, kaalaman at galing ng mga kabataang Pilipino na siyang isinusulong sa ilalim ng bagong Pilipinas.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Wednesday that the reimposition of the death penalty amid concerns over rampant corruption in government requires careful study. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has yet to state his position on calls to revive the death penalty as a deterrent against corruption. Mounting calls to reimpose the death penalty, particularly for plunder, have emerged following revelations of alleged irregularities in the implementation of flood control projects. Castro, however, emphasized the need to exercise caution, saying it would be unfortunate if an innocent person were implicated in crimes he or she did not commit. She said the 5 pillars of the country's justice system should also be clean, good, and proper.
Sa ngayon, wala pa po nababanggit ang Pangulo, pero siyempre sa pag-aaral po, kung ito po ay ipapataw muli at mawawala ang suspension or lifting ng pag-suspend sa death penalty, pag-impose ng death penalty, dapat pong aralin to dahil hindi lamang po ito bigla-biglang sinasabi na dapat nandiyan na ang death penalty. Inaaral mabuti dahil po dapat malinis, mabuti, maging maayos. Itong tinatawag nating 5 pillars of criminal or justice system rather. 5 pillars of justice system. Hindi po tayo pwede na umasa at ma-impluwensyahan. Dapat mawala sa impluwensya ng mga Pilipino yung mga nakaraang pangyayari kung saan may nag-admit na sila ay sanay gumawa ng intriga at magplanta ng ebidensya. Paano kung ang inosente ay nagawa ng intriga at naplantahan ng ebidensya? Death penalty ang maaaring ipataw. Kawawa naman po yung masasabi nating inosente. So, ang muling pagpapataw ng death penalty ay dapat inaaral ng malaliman.
The Independent Commission for Infrastructure, an independent body established by President Marcos, is currently conducting an extensive investigation into the anomalous flood control projects.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang announced Wednesday that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed former Ombudsman and Justice Secretary Maria Merceditas Gutierrez as chairperson of the National Commission of Senior Citizens or NCSC. Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said Gutierrez will continue as NCSC chair until September 17, 2031. Castro noted Gutierrez's extensive legal and public service experience as a crucial factor in her appointment. Prior to joining the NCSC, she served on the Government Service Insurance System or GSIS Board of Trustees. Gutierrez worked as ombudsman from 2005 to 2011 and as Justice Secretary under former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The NCSC, which was established in 2019, is in charge of developing policies and coordinating initiatives that promote senior people's welfare rights and social inclusion.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday congratulated Takaichi Sanae on her historic election as Japan's first female prime minister, calling it a landmark moment for democracy and gender representation. Takaichi, a longtime Liberal Democratic Party congressman and close supporter of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, succeeds Shigeru Ishiba after securing a comfortable majority in Japan's parliament. President Marcos said that he is looking forward to working with Takaichi to commemorate the 70th anniversary of Philippine-Japanese diplomatic relations next year, as well as to expand cooperation under the Philippines-Japan Strategic Partnership. Japan is one of the Philippines' closest defense and development allies, having recently signed a reciprocal access deal to facilitate joint military drills between their armed forces amid escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea.
Dateline Malacañang.
News from other government agencies. The Department of Agriculture or DA warned that it would issue show cause orders against those behind the spiking rise retail prices amid a stable supply. This came as the prevailing price of premium imported and local rice rose to 50 pesos per kilogram in Metro Manila as of October 20, according to the DA Bantay Presyo. This is higher than the 43 pesos maximum suggested retail price or MSRP set for 5% broken imported rice. In an interview, DA spokesperson Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa assured swift actions against those who may be taking advantage of consumers starting Thursday or within the week. Besides stringent monitoring through market rounds, DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. assured that the prices of retail rice will not surge beyond 60 pesos per kilogram, price levels which happened before the imposition of Executive Order 62 or the lowering of tariffs on imported rice to 15% from 35% in June 2024. Chu Laurel likewise stressed that the MSRP for 5% broken rice will remain at 43 pesos per kilogram. Today, the premium imported rice in Metro Manila ranges from 43 pesos to 55 pesos per kilogram, while local premium rice is priced between 40 pesos and 60 pesos per kilogram. Besides the premium rice, the agriculture chief noted that other rice varieties remain at a low price for both imported and local. Prices of imported well-milled rice meanwhile range between 38 pesos per kilogram and 46 pesos per kilogram, and imported regular milled rice from 35 pesos per kilogram to 45 pesos per kilogram. Prices of local well-milled rice are pegged between 35 pesos per kilogram to 51 pesos per kilogram, and local regular milled rice 33 pesos per kilogram to 42 pesos per kilogram. Agriculture officials insisted that retail prices in the country must remain reasonable considering a sufficient stock of local rice. Despite the thinning supply of imported rice, the Mesa said price spikes are unnecessary. In terms of total rice imports, the volume of import arrivals since January is at 3.28 million metric tons as of October 16 based on the Bureau of Plant Industry or BPI data. As of September, the total rice inventory in the country is at 2.7 million metric tons, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, with about 815,346.38 metric tons logged in the commercial sector.
Dateline Malacañang.
Acting Philippine National Police Chief Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates said the PNP will be beefing up its patrols in coastal areas to prevent the smuggling of illegal drugs into Philippine waters following the recovery of a floating bag containing suspected illegal drugs in the West Philippine Sea. In line with this, Nartates directed the PNP Maritime Group and police regional offices to heighten community patrols, particularly in coastal areas, to prevent similar incidents from happening again. The directive came after the Philippine Navy, in coordination with the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA, and the PNP recovered a floating black duffel bag containing suspected illegal drugs near Sabina Shoal in the West Philippine Sea Saturday. Initial reports revealed that the bag contained 32 clear and black plastic packs with approximately 16 kilograms of suspected high-grade marijuana valued at around 19.2 million pesos. Nartates underscored the importance of close coordination between the PNP and PDEA to determine the source and possible links among recent drug hauls.
Dateline Malacañang.
Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP Chief General Romeo Bronner Jr. has expressed the military's gratitude to Australia for its efforts in promoting regional peace and stability, as well as for strengthening defense cooperation with the country. Bronner made a remark following his meeting with Australian Ambassador to the Philippines, Mark Ines Brown, who paid him a courtesy call on Tuesday in Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City. The military said Ines Brown's courtesy call highlighted the diplomatic engagement and continued strengthening of the strategic defense partnership between the Philippines and Australia.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Embassy in Washington is coordinating with the United States authorities over the reported denial of entry to Filipinos in some U.S. ports of entry. The embassy said it is aware of the reports that Filipino seafarers have encountered this in recent months. The embassy, meanwhile, said the Department of Migrant Workers is ready to assist the affected seafarers. In August, some Filipino seafarers recounted how the immigration and customs enforcement agents boarded their ships when they docked at the U.S. territory and inspected their mobile phones for child pornography materials. While none were found, some crew members were denied entry, detained, and later deported.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.